Hey everybody, it's Karen and I am coming on to do a quick little tutorial about 3 of my favorite brushes. So when I color match some of my new customers, they're always asking me, well, what brush, if I could just get one brush, which brush should I get? Well, let me show you the 3 that I go to over and over again and why I like them. And then we'll talk a little bit while I'm putting my makeup on how you can use just one of these brushes. All right, so the first brush I'm going to talk about here is the blend brush. And this is a brush that you can use for a very natural, light application. It's just a great brush. It's all of our brushes are two-ended. So this brush here is one that I would recommend when you fill out your color match form and you tell me, I really like a natural, very light makeup look. And this would be the brush that I would recommend. And this brush you can use to do your whole makeup, just this one brush. And so let's show you a couple tips and techniques on how to use this brush. All right, since all of the brushes are made to work with the cream foundation, these two-ended brushes like the blend brush is perfect to use to get a very natural light application. So the smaller end here, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of my camouflage or concealing shade, and I'm gonna just come in and just lightly feather that on. So you can see how that is great for applying in smaller areas, like on your eyelids, under eye area, and that works wonderfully for that. So that smaller end is great for, like I say, doing some concealing and camouflaging. The larger end I can use to add my contour. So I'm gonna brush that into my contour shade, and you can see how just coming up here and lightly brushing that on, you can see the shadow there, and you can just build that up as much or as little as you need. But that's gonna add just a very light application of your contour. You can also use this end or this smaller end to apply your contour for your cheekbones. So if you want something a little bit more precise, use the smaller end. Just again, brush that in lightly and just come out here and just kind of brush that right up underneath your cheekbones. So again, you can see that it gives you a very soft, light application. And again, I can also use it to define and add contour underneath my jaw. Now using that same brush, I can apply my main foundation shade or my all over shade. I can use that larger end and again, just lightly brushing that on and then just coming in and feathering that wherever I need or would desire some coverage. So with this brush, the larger end here, I feel like I can kind of do more of this kind of swirling motion with it. Not really swiping, but almost a light buffing. And so you can see that you get a very light application, but I'm still getting the coverage that I want from that. Then I can use the smaller end to add my brightening. So I can pick up again from my compact, just a little bit of color of my brightening shade to accent and to brighten up underneath my eye here and above my cheekbones and out. You can also do that right up here, kind of at the top of your forehead. Now, so I'm just gonna do one side of my face with this brush here, just to give you an idea of how you can use one brush to do all of your makeup. Then I like to turn this over to this side, and I can use that again to softly just blend, and it's coming in here, softly blending, kind of just feathering up, pulling up that color, blending it in so that I don't have any harsh lines, and really great coverage just with that brush. Very natural, very light layer, which is what you always want to do when you're using the Cream 3D. Okay, and I can use the same brush to apply lip and cheek shades and a little bit of illuminator, and I can even use it to apply some eyeshadow. So I'm just going to use that larger end and pick up, let's see, this is Sandstone. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit by swirling it in. I'm not pressing, but I'm just kind of swirling over the top and then just repeating kind of that same swirling motion right above my contour and just pulling that up and just blending it until you get it blended in the way you like it. You can see that that's such a dark shade, but when you apply it with this brush, it just goes on really nice, very natural, just giving the perfect amount of this gorgeous color to your cheeks. Same thing, I can grab this brush and swirl it over the top of some illuminator and just hit the tops of the cheekbones with a little bit of that shimmer. Put it right up here above my brow and on my brow bone. A little bit even down here. So as you can see, very, very natural, simple, one brush only, all right? Now that same brush, I can even use this larger end, pick up a little bit of eyeshadow. I just wanna do just a really quick, neutral, I think that's Cupcake on my eyelid, a little bit of this basic color. I can even just come over here and just lightly brush a little bit of that on. And then just swirl and just blend that in a bit. So pretty easy, pretty quick, very natural foundation. Pretty much all one layer, very lightweight. I'm gonna put setting spray on it, but with this amount of makeup on my skin, I really don't even have to use setting spray, but I will. All right, so now let's do the other side of my face with these other two brushes. So if you are someone that likes medium to full coverage, these are the two brushes that I would probably recommend for you. This is the detail brush. It's great for doing contour and detail application. And this is the blush and bronzer brush. And this end here is a really multi-purpose end that you can use to do so many things besides just blush. And even this end here, so many more things than just bronzing. So let me show you how I would use this brush and how it gives you a little bit more fuller to medium coverage. All right, so nice thing about the detail brush is it does have a smaller end that you can use to do color correcting, concealing, and just getting into smaller areas. So again, I'm gonna pick up my camo kind of color correcting shade and just pull and put a little bit on underneath my eye here, on my eyelids, just to neutralize out a little bit of that orangey brown that I get on them. Down here on my nose where it's a little bit more red, and my scar. And then I think I usually kind of come over here, I've got a little bit of some sunspots here that I like to just neutralize out. So again, it's nice to have this smaller brush where you can come in and get into smaller areas on the end of that hack brush. Now this end of the detail brush is really great for applying contour. So I'm gonna brush that into my contour and I'm gonna come up here and do the other side. You're gonna see it's gonna give me a little bit more instant coverage than the blend brush did. So it's gonna give me a little bit more. Now this is if you want a little bit more fuller coverage because you like more of a shadow. You want to define your face just a bit more than I had done on this side. So you see, okay, same thing, you can use this end to do your cheeks. So you just side load this brush right into your contour, feel for your cheekbones again, and just gonna kind of almost press that up underneath. You can see how that's gonna give you a little bit more of a contour. Doesn't mean that you're still not going to be able to blend it out, but it's gonna apply a bit more coverage than you would get with that other brush we used on this side. And same thing along your jaw. Come in under and pull that down. Okay, so the brush I recommend to team up with the detail brush is the blush and bronzer brush. And so these two together are just two great brushes. You can't go wrong with these two brushes. And again, great from medium to full coverage. So this end here, I can use to apply my main all over color. So I'm just gonna take that end of the brush and just tap it in, just a couple taps. And with this, I do more of a kind of a pouncing or a stippling motion where I need it. And you can see I haven't even reloaded yet, but it's still applying quite a bit. You don't need to use a lot of this makeup. That is what after using it for over a year, I'm finally realizing. You can see just a couple little taps and then come in and just pounce and apply that where you want a little bit of extra coverage, evening out my skin tone, my coloring. And this is more of a stippling or pouncing motion than over here when I was using the other brush, I was kind of doing more of a swirly motion. So using this end of the brush to apply my main highlighter foundation shade is giving me a little bit more coverage. Okay, so now with this brush to add my brightening or my accent shade, kind of where I had done it over on this side, the center of my face, I can either apply it by dotting it on with my finger, I can go back to this end of the detail brush, which I will because it's the smaller brush. Just pick up a little bit and pretty much the same application that I did on the other side, more of a little tapping, just right underneath and out where I want a little bit of that brightness. And right up here above my brow, kind of in that center of my forehead there. Put a little bit down your nose. Okay, that's kind of where I want that brightness. That's just kind of where I put it. And then if I want to, I can do a little bit of blending, and I'll just switch over to this end of the blush and bronzer brush. And instead of doing swirly motions like I did with the other brush, I'm going to do more of that stippling and pouncing. Just where where I laid down some of that color, I'm just going to, it's warming up on my skin, so I'm just getting it to soften up and just blend in just a bit. And so far, a little bit more coverage on this side than over here. So now we'll go ahead and we'll add some of the cheek color, the same color that we did here, and I'll show you the difference. All right, so now using the blush end of the blush and bronzer brush to pick up the lip and cheek color. Again, this is sandstone. So I'm gonna just use the brush, I'm gonna tap in, and then come over here and just tap and apply it. And you can see it's a little bit more coverage right away because this brush holds more of the cream. But I can still pounce and blend to soften. But I can get, so it's built, like I say, it's buildable. I can add a little bit more if I want just a bit more color. So I popped a little bit of that sandstone on my lips. Now the blush and bronzer brush, this end here I can use to add bronzer and a little bit of powder if I wanted to, but I'm just gonna use it almost just to kind of do just a little bit of buffing, making sure that everything's just blended in well. And just like how I had used the blend brush to do a little bit of eyeshadow, I can just use this end as well. So I'll just pick up a little bit of that cupcake, just give that right there, and then I can pick up a little bit of this color. Again, this is just a quick, easy one brush, get some makeup on, and just go right into that crease and right above that brow bone just to build a little bit of definition. Almost forgot to put some illuminator on this side, so my goodness, I can put the illuminator on with my finger and just dot it on because I want it to be a little bit more intense on this side. Put some up here again on the brow area. And then I can just take this side of the blush and bronzer brush, and I like to do that just to kind of soften it a bit, just make sure that it blends in. But so this side here, a little bit more full coverage using the blush and bronzer brush and the hack brush. And this side here is a little bit more natural, softer look, and it is with the blend brush. And either way, these three are my favorite brushes that I use over and over again. I go back to them all the time. That and a Perfector sponge, which I have around here somewhere at the end, just to go in and always press and lift. Us gals who have a few fine lines around our eyes, around this area, it's always a good idea to go in with your Perfector sponge at the end and just press and lift and make sure that you have not gotten any too heavy-handed or anything kind of into those creases or your fine lines, as we like to call them. When I'm all done, I'm going to go ahead and just still set my makeup with some setting spray. Just give that a good spritz, let that dry. I can even use my sponge to just apply that. Okay? 3 brushes I recommend over and over again when I color match my new clients. All right, everybody have a great afternoon. Thanks so much for watching. And if you have any questions about brushes, about application, about how to get color matched to Seint 3D Foundation, you know that all you have to do is message me and I will get you a color match link and we'll start there. All right, have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.